Hello, everyone, and welcome to MyCHN podcast, Health Conversations Without Barriers. This is Mariela and the marketing team.
Hi all, I'm Olga.
And hi, I'm Lulu.
Right, so today we have a pretty interesting topic. We're talking about an epidemic that a lot of people don't talk about. It's called obesity, and how low-income Americans are actually suffering from obesity. As of now, we know that obesity is a state of, being more than overweight. It is a pandemic in the United States. As a matter of fact, a lot of other countries say that when you come to America, a lot of people are fat. Pretty sure a lot of people have heard that before. So when a doctor or a nutritionist classifies someone as obese, they're looking at their BMI, right? And that measures the amount of fat that you have in your body. I believe it's adipose fat, which is like the yellow fat underneath the muscle, or I think it's before the muscle. Does anyone here knows what your body mass index is?
I actually do not. After doing research, I kind of was like, I probably should know that. But there's a calculator that you can actually use. You put in your height and your age, I think, or your weight. Yeah, your height and your weight, and then it'll calculate it for you.
Yes, for me, I think I did count it at some point, and it was showing that I actually have some extra weight as well. So I feel like it's good for everyone to kind of know and see where you at and where your health's at. So that kind of helped me realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe I do need to watch how much I'm eating. Maybe I do need to work out a little bit more. So I think that's a great tool that everyone should check.
I would say that I know for a fact, when I'm a size between 8 and 10, because that's what I am right now, I'm about 36% body fat. If you think about 36%, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about where mostly water, 36% is kind of a lot in body fat. But again, actually, I don't think, do you guys think a lot of Americans know what their body fat is? I don't think they do.
Yes, I believe it's a very controversial topic for some Americans, and maybe they kind of avoid that. But because there's maybe lack of education or lack of actually healthy food choices, we see this epidemic, which is kind of getting to a serious point. And I know, Lulu, you have some facts here about how many percent of Americans are actually obese.
Yeah, actually, like weight is such like a touchy subject, and people don't like to talk about their weight. So when it does come to like knowing your BMI, I think people just they try to avoid it as much as they can. And for the most part, the facts that I have to do with how the epidemic kind of came about. So like how much we've changed. So when we ask the question like why is there so many people who are obese? Like what is actually causing it? There's no one definite answer, but the USDA reports that an average American in 2000 ate 20% more calories than they did in 1983. And the reason for that is because there was such a boom in like meat consumption. And then today Americans eat on average 195 pounds of meat a year compared to the 1950s where they ate 138 pounds a year. So you can see that like that's such a big jump of like meat consumption. So that's just like one of the reasons, like, and I know it has to do with the economy, what people have access to. That also has a factor into like why obesity has changed over the years. But we can't really say that there's one definite answer. But there are a couple, and I think we should talk about those.
So
Absolutely.
I also noticed that it says that our grain consumption, so that means like bread, cookies, popcorn, like anything that is probably like bread that you find delicious, we have rose 85% consumption. So that means we're eating a lot of bread. And I would tell you though that if you go, okay, so I was born in El Salvador, right? But when I came to Texas, we went to Greens Point, what they call Guns Point here. And everything that's around there is Taco Bell, McDonald's, Sonic, Pizza Hut, Domino's. A little bit like maybe you drive 10, 20 minutes, there might be like a grocery store. But for the most part, what is cheapest is going to KFC, getting a buck for like a whole bucket of like chicken, like fried chicken for $10, and you feed your whole family. That is the cheapest thing that you can find. So one of the things that we're saying why are we having this epidemic, right? And this epidemic is mostly affecting poor people.
Yes, I agree. I have noticed that as well. So even if you look in different areas, some of the more low income areas, they actually, like you said, all their food options are fast food. Even some grocery stores don't even carry fresh produce. Uh, and that's, I think, one of the reasons, because people are just used to going for the cheaper option, but they are just not aware how much harm that kind of food can bring to your body. So I believe that's also a little bit because of the lack of education. Maybe some of those low income families, they don't have access to, the information, or they were taught, a different way. So they don't know how to actually care for their body and how to um, you know eat the right way, the healthy way.
And I think the reality is that those in the like low income areas, they only are focused on, of course, like putting food on their table, paying the bills. So whatever is cheapest is what they're gonna gravitate towards. And it's easy to just like go to McDonald's, go to get that bucket of KFC. And it's crazy how like the most unhealthy food is the cheapest. So that of course that's what they're gonna go to. And what speaking on education, you like depending on like how far they get in terms of education, like the food pyramid is something that a lot of people don't are not exposed to, like how much bread you're supposed to eat a day. I mean, carbs, and then how much protein you're supposed to get, how much fruit you're supposed to get. So, education and like resources have such a big role in obesity. And then I also want to ask a question in terms of like when we think about kids, like how kids the obesity in children have like increased, they don't really have a say into like what family they are put in, like they are born into. And so like it's not really their fault that they're obese. So like what role does a parent play in terms of like getting them on the track of healthy eating when all the parent is trying to think of is like providing for the kid?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that's parents' job to teach their kid how to take care of their body, how to feed yourself, and stay healthy. And yeah, so I think that kinds of like a family thing, how you see if the parents are obese, then their children are obese as well. So I think maybe providing some more educational materials for people can be beneficial, because I feel like, yes, fast foods are cheap and fast and easy, but I believe there's still healthy options on a budget, and you just need to put a little bit more effort into it. But there are options of healthy food and keeping your kids healthy, eating something other than McDonald's.
Okay, so I'll tell you guys why I got to 170, when I was like in high school. So I came from El Salvador, my parents were working all the time, right? Working all the time, right? So I was left by myself with the kids, with the other kids. what was the easiest thing for me to make for them? Cereal, grilled cheese, ramen, and no one there was really no like supervision because they were working and I was the oldest, so I would give them, to eat. All of those things were bad. But the point was me feeding the kids. I think that yes, parents have a big one responsibility and influence on what their kids eat. But the other thing is the school should also take charge because if you guys have seen the school lunches, they're not that healthy. Uh, I sometimes I'm just like, That's not healthy at all." And they should have a class where they teach kids like, "Look, this is how you can cook this vegetable and make it health like cook it and make it tasty." Because like schools, think about how much time we spent in schools. We learned a lot of things from school. Sometimes not good things. But, there should be something like if we don't know how to pay our taxes, we should at least know how to like cook a vegetable when we get out of high school.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Honestly, me being an immigrant coming here to America, I was a little bit shocked what kind of food uh, they feed kids here. Even if you go to any restaurant and look at the kids menu, what's on there? Fried chicken, burger, or maybe some have like a grilled chicken option or grilled cheese. So that's all not so healthy foods, and it was kind of shock to me because the way I grew up, my mom always tried to make like homemade meals, and my mom didn't even let me eat ketchup because she thinks that's chemicals. But, here parents are more okay with it. And especially like like you said, in schools, that's okay. That's a normal lunch. And I don't know, maybe parents can kind of think on that, on how maybe they can have other options for kids.
I know that in like 2008, a little bit after that, Michelle Obama tried to do like the healthy school campaign, and I want to say I was in middle school going to high school when all of it started because I vividly remember like lunches actually changing. And the thing that like that we didn't like as kids is that it was like, yeah, we were used to all the junk food. Like I remember we could buy hot Cheetos for like 50 cents with our lunch. And if you wanted a hamburger already with like in addition to the lunch you had, you could buy that for like $1.50. So all of that like was stopped. And then it changed to the healthy eating. And then it wasn't tasty. But I know that healthy food can be tasty. So it's all about like there should be a class. Like, I think in some schools, it's like an elective that you can do a cooking class, but it's not everywhere. So there should be something for kids, not just to learn how to cook, to know that like healthy food can be good. And schools, I mean, I feel like the government and schools can work together to make something like that happen.
So this just brought up another point. So I have 2 points. So I'll do this one first. I remember when the schools actually used to do like take exercise, you had to pass your PE, like physical exercise class. I believe one parent, I saw this in the news. So, is one parent said that it was abusive that they would make their kid run that much. I was like, what? So, what do you guys think about like this change that is coming that they're not letting the kids exercise? And now that some kids have virtual school.
Yeah, I remember before, I think before I graduated, you had to take it was only a semester like recommended, but I took all 3 years. I took 3 years of physical education and I played a sport. But that was just because like of my background, like culturally. But it's not mandatory anymore. Like after you do that half a semester, and even in the PE class, like you can just walk and it'll be counted. So it's not like you're actually getting any real exercise. And I don't know. I know that they can change something, but it's all dependent on like the school system, but that's very important in terms of obesity because it's not just food, it's like food and working out.
Okay, now the other point. I know we all have different cultures. So I want to start with Olga, then Lulu, and I'll go. Name 2 foods from your culture and describe it. because I want to see if my conclusion comes it's right. All right, Olga.
That's a very good question because okay, so I'm originally from Ukraine, and our foods are completely different from what Americans eat. So one of the main dishes, like we eat a lot of soups, like different type of vegetable meat soup. We eat a lot of vegetables and like lean meat. So yeah, more like white meat, not that much red meat, and
What is that soup called though? Like what's
so
that?
the main one is called borscht, and it's made with meat, carrots, potatoes, red beets, onions, and it's it has the broth, so it's like really warm and good on your stomach, and that's what like my mom made me eat. Maybe when you're a kid, you don't really like that, but I've learned to like it, and now I love it, and I cook it for myself. So that kind of really makes a difference when the parents teach you. Um, yeah, that's like the
One
main.
more. One
One
more.
more.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a
well,
pop a popular dish in Ukraine.
okay, I'm gonna say like there's one sweet dish that's more like a dessert, but it's a cheese pancakes. So we use like cheese, like farmer's cheese, and we only add a little bit of flour, a little bit of sugar, and you eat that with like yogurt and some jam. So I feel like that's a little better than regular pancakes because it has cheese and it's more protein. So I think it's a little bit more healthier.
All right, Lulu.
Okay, I thought of two immediately when you said that. So I'm originally from Nigeria, and this is a popular one that people know now, jollof rice. So we eat jollof rice. It's white rice with stew. So there's not yeah, it's like white rice mixed with stew, and it's like red bell peppers, tomato, and then usually eat it with like a source of protein. So it can be like fish or chicken. Most people eat it with chicken, maybe some plantain. So that's the meal. And then secondly, it's the second one. I'm gonna just like do like a broad description because there's many of them that fit in this. It's called solid, but it's like there's under it, there's like iyan, there's amala, there's eba, and all of those are just like cassava, like pounded or pounded yam. And yeah, but with that, you have like you can only eat it with a vegetable. So you would take like collard, yeah, kind of like collard greens or spinach, and that you would eat it with that, or like okra, you would eat it with yeah, you eat it with that. And I don't know what ewedu is made of in English. Like I don't know the English name. But yeah, it's a vegetable. So you have to eat those with a vegetable and then a source of protein, which could be like chicken, beef. But we really do like meat. Like Nigerians love meat. They love their chicken. They love their fish. So you'll see that a lot.
Okay. So I would say popular dish for Salvadorians is pupusa, which is literally it's like a corn tortilla, but you stuff cheese or whatever you want, and you not deep fry it, but you fry it. So not healthy. It's delicious, but not healthy. Then the other one that I can think of that is more like something you could, both of them you can make at home, but the other one is like soup, which is like oxtail soup. And you have a lot of veggies like potatoes, carrots. But one thing that the reason why I was asking is because I learned a few years ago that the most popular food in a country is the food that poor people eat. So pupusas are very popular because they're cheap to make. So when you come over here and for example, like you know how like if you go to like a Texan restaurant, they have tacos, right? That's cheaper to make. Like it every like here, like like pho, it's cheap to make.
that brings the question, what is the most popular food in America? Is it a burger? Is it a pizza?
It's the cheap thing
Hot dog?
to make
Yeah,
and buy.
exactly.
So there is a direct correlation between being obese, right, and being poor. Okay, so let's spin it back into whole person care. So remember, we did like a test and it tells you what you might be propense, right, to in the future. I find out that I'm propense to diabetes. I was like, great. But that just means that I really have to watch what I'm eating, right? Which is really hard. I feel like here in America, I don't know about y'all, but it's really, you have to be very strict about what you eat.
Yes, exactly. And I think that a lot of popular foods and cheap foods are those processed foods. So so that applies only to America because even like if you said Lulu in Nigeria, there's something more like stew, like rice. It's more homemade, home cooked meal. But here it's something that you throw in a microwave and it has a bunch of chemicals, it's processed, it has different hormones that has way different effect on our bodies. And that's why I think that's one of the reasons why people get obese so fast because there's not such a big culture on like homemade cooking. It's here's more a culture of going out, getting something really fast, and it's easier, it's very convenient. But in terms of your health, it's not the best option.
Yeah, even in addition to that, like here everything is so it's on top of like the accessibility. You're just like jumping in your car and you're just going. Like and in my country, one like we always say this, like you can't not that you can't die of obesity in Nigeria, but like it's very, very rare because people are walking. They walk all the time. And if they're not like they're okay, even if they're taking some sort of transport, they're walking to the transport that they're about to take. So it's a mix. So like even if you have something that's like very filling, you know that your body's gonna kind of work it out because you're walking or you're doing some form of exercise. So everything works hand in hand. And the fact that like the cheaper things are accessible or and the culture for homemade stuff is not as like prevalent here. I think that that really does show in the way that obesity is so big.
Okay, as a health center, what do you guys think we can do?
I think for us, what we can do is provide, first of all, provide education, educational materials, give people ideas of what kind of healthy food you can cook, maybe even recipes, just kind of letting them know that there's other options. And there's also another one, like you said, Mariela, we do have this test that we do. It's like a blood test, and it screens for all of your vitamins, minerals that your body might be lacking, or you might have, some that are over the limit. So that also helps people understand, okay, my body's lacking all these vitamins and minerals, and that's also might be affecting their body weight because everything works cohesively in your body. So if your body is lacking something, then it's gonna show somewhere, it's gonna come out somewhere. So that's kind of what we can do, I think.
Well, I think that it's also really important that we specify like paying attention to family history, like when you speak to your doctor, because when you think about like people who have passed away in your family or like people that are close to you that you know that you might just be seeing from afar, you might tell you like you'll be able to tell that like this person is a little obese. Maybe obesity runs in my family. Maybe that's something I should talk to my doctor about. And it's important for us for us as a health center to like be like to tell our patients that you can be open with us and you can like let's talk about your family history. Like, does anyone have a history of diabetes, or does anyone have a history with, you know, like vitamins, like low vitamin something? So like just encouraging our patients and educating them that like we're here to help and we're here to give you to get you to that healthier place.
I agree. Actually, I'm gonna say a joke right now. It's not more of a joke. So Ben, if you don't like it, you can cut it off. But my mom usually when she fills out the family history, she doesn't want to put everything because she says, "Oh, they're gonna tell it to the insurance, and my insurance is gonna go up." I was like, "Mom,
Yeah, no,
it's
that's a
already."
big thing. I know a lot of Nigerians are afraid of that, and I don't know why, because it's like it's all like you they can only help you if they know. So
Oh my gosh!
That
Oh my
is
gosh!
funny, but it's actually not because I think it's because people are scared of how much the healthcare costs here. So they try to avoid even going to the doctor, but at MyCHN we offer affordable healthcare, and we do accept everyone, any type of insurance or no insurance. So don't be scared. Come make an appointment with
Yes. So I would say for something that would come back in the community, right? The obesity is to not only give people like healthy food, but teach them how to make it. So like one thing would be like if you're like, hey, we're having this like food bank, and you can go to our website, and then you can check how we're seasoning those vegetables. You can do it at home. So I think that would be a good way. Pretty sure there's more ideas out there that we know our leadership. We know they're gonna come out with something, so we're gonna do soon. But besides that, I would like to thank everyone for joining, and just watch out for our next episode and give us some love on Spotify, give us a review, share with your friends and family, and until next time.